So the district attorney, the judge who's protecting the district attorney, now in order for me to be able to represent myself, they told me they're not going to allow it, but for my protection, they're going to evaluate my competency. So I have to see a quote unquote doctor. What they're doing is they're protecting the district attorney, and they're protecting Senator Richard Pan, who's running for state controller. The district attorney is running for attorney general. This is extraordinary. This is absolutely extraordinary. They don't have a right to prevent me from representing myself, and that's exactly what they're doing. This is a scam that's taking place, and so hey, John, this is extraordinary. This is extraordinary. I have a right to represent myself, to go pro per, and so this is amazing. And so anyway, I already was going to represent myself. I was going pro per, and then the DA, then the public defender, totally, I opened up a door to be honest with you, now that I'll let everything come out, I knew the public defender wasn't going to represent me. There's a lot of political pressure on the judge and the district attorney to protect Senator Richard Pan. But now, to add to this whole this whole ordeal, the district attorney is running for attorney general. And this is going to embarrass her because Anne Marie Schubert sued Kaiser. She sued Pharma, and Pharma's indemnified because her son was permanently injured by the HPV vaccine, and she sued because she didn't have full disclosure. Senator Richard Pan, not only did not give disclosure, but he literally lied about ingredients. So think about that. Anne Marie Schubert sues Kaiser because she didn't have full disclosure. In other words, she wanted the right, which we all have the right to know what's being injected to us, and we all have the right to say no. But her contention was she didn't know what was in the vaccine that was going into her son. Otherwise, she wouldn't have permitted that. Otherwise, what's the point of suing about having full disclosure if you were going to have to allow your child to be injected anyway? Do you see what I mean? The whole point was she was suing Kaiser and Pharma for not having full disclosure so she could make that decision for her son if she was going to allow him to receive the HPV vaccine. Senator Richard Pan, when I was walking with him, lies about mercury being in vaccines. This is extraordinary. You talk about the corruption in the DA's office, and she's running for attorney general. They absolutely don't want me representing myself because they know that I have the right to put Senator Richard Pan on the stand. They know that truth is going to come out, and they know that both are going to be embarrassed. Anne Marie Schubert, the district attorney who is coming after me, is running for attorney general. She sued Kaiser, hired two attorneys, sued Kaiser and sued Pharma for that bucket of money. Pharma's indemnified, but there's a bucket of money for injuries that are caused against. I'm very, this, I was just in the hearing. This is extraordinary, the level of corruption. And they're saying, we want to make sure that you're competent to represent yourself. And it's like, you know what? I have a right to represent myself. I'm going pro per. And then the defender's office. So anyway, I opened that door. It bought me a little bit of time, but I knew the public defender wasn't going to represent me. I know that. There's a lot of pressure. They're public pretenders. That's a truth because they work with the judge. They work with the district. They're there all the time hobnobbing together. My brother was a lawyer and works in law now. And so they're totally making a mistake here. They're going to embarrass themselves again. They're absolutely going to make this worse. And this is amazing. This is so amazing. And actually, all this is going to do is continue to expose Anne-Marie Schubert, the corrupt district attorney she is. She's been slated to become the attorney general. She's selected. And so now they want to protect her because this is a pie in her face, because it exposes her a coward. That's what it does. It exposes her to be a coward and a sellout and a hypocrite. For her to hire 2 attorneys and to sue Kaiser and to sue Pharma for that bucket of money because she didn't have full disclosure of what was in the vaccine before her son was permanently injured by the HPV vaccine. And then when I push Richard Pan, who lies, a pediatrician and senator who lies about mercury being in vaccines, and she's coming after me. Do you see the hypocrisy? Is she protecting our children? Is she protecting your children? They're being mandated to get vaccinated, and yet she has the audacity to sue Kaiser, to sue Pharma for not having full disclosure and protecting a doctor who's writing bills to make vaccinations mandatory, who lies about the ingredients. I mean, do you see this extraordinary situation? And so anyway, it's May 19th, I think they said. They muted me. May 19th, and so, as I said, this adds to the drama, and there is no problem. There is absolutely no problem with this because it's going to backfire on them. This is corruption. This is corruption at the highest level. Oh, and here's the thing. A few hearings ago, I fired the public defender. I have a right to. And as I said, I only brought the public defender in to kind of create a liaison, to kind of feel things out. But they totally were not representing me. And I fired them. There wasn't even a question that they were fired. It was like, you're not going to represent me. Today, they're trying to claim that the public defender's trying to claim that they're representing me. And I say, you guys aren't representing me. Oh, yeah, we're very concerned about, you know what? Go ahead. Let's do it. Let's go ahead. Embarrass yourself because the DA, District Anne-Marie Schubert, but you know what? This is happening throughout the United States. The corruption, the hypocrisy, the sellouts, like even this judge was not really a judge. The sellout that these guys are extraordinary. It's extraordinary. And so anyway, so as I said, all this does is going to add, you guys got to follow this because this should be national attention. The Wall Street Journal contacted me to find out when the date was, but this should be absolutely international news because Senator Richard Pan has impacted the world. But what they are doing in this courtroom is so extraordinary. It's just like what the registrar did. The registrar kept me off the ballot. The registrar kept me off the ballot, cheated, lied, and said that I didn't have enough signatures to be on the ballot, and the registrar got away with it. But despite the fact that the registrar got away with it, it exposed the registrar. It exposed other representatives like Mark Moiser, who is running for Secretary of State, who is an attorney who specializes in politics, who would have been somebody who should have been representing me. Think about this, going back to Mark Moiser, who's running for Congress, Mark Moiser's campaign manager sent me an email, and I said, stop emailing me and asking me to help this weasel, because that's what he is. He's look up the term. Mark Moiser, who was part of the Golden State Coalition that I was on, and the Golden State Coalition had a number of candidates, and so that people can look at the Golden State Coalition, what we represented. But there was wolves there. It just became very clear. But I was running for the state Senate at that time when I chose to become part of the Golden State Coalition. So you can go to the list, Golden State Coalition, and there was Paul Taylor, who led the Golden State Coalition, who formed this, he was running against Dianne Feinstein. Judge Stephen Bailey, who was running for Attorney General. Mark Moiser, who was running for Secretary of State. Travis Allen, who was running for governor. There was Jasmina, who was running for Congress. And so there was a number of people on there. I was asked to be part of the Golden State Coalition by Paul Taylor right from the very beginning. I said no, because I didn't want any kind of pressure on me from speaking the truth. I didn't want anyone to feel that they had any right to come to me and say, don't talk about chemtrails, don't talk about vaccines or whatever. And so, and by the way, this doctor this quote doctor I'm going to see, he's like a Nazi. That's what the same thing would be. It would be like being in Nazi Germany and having these doctors who are assaulting people and going in and getting that. He's there, obviously, to protect the system. But it's going to backfire. Mark my words, it's going to backfire on them. And so when the registrar kept me off the ballot, blatantly committed treason. Treason is punishable. And you know what? They can use this because everything that I'm saying is the truth. There's nothing that I've said that has misrepresented the truth. Treason is punishable by death. That's the truth. If they want to come up and fabricate and embellish and say, well, you know what? It's the truth. Am I misrepresenting anything? Treachery is punishable by death. And that's exactly what happened. Our vote, is there anything more serious than interfering with the people's vote? This is absolutely treason. We have a right. This government belongs to the people. It does not belong to those people in government, like just now what's going on, trying to commit treachery again by not allowing me to represent myself. They're afraid of me representing myself. Why are they afraid? Because they know I'm competent. They know that I'm going to put them in their place. They know that Senator Richard Pan is going to be exposed. And while Senator Pan is being exposed, the district attorney, Anne Marie Schubert, is being exposed. Senator Richard Pan is running for state controller. Anne Marie Schubert is running for attorney general. Both of them are slated to win. Both of them are part of this system. And so anyway, when the registrar kept me off the ballot, I was the only Republican running, by the way. And don't let that bother anyone, because the Republican Party is just as corrupt as the Democratic Party and just as corrupt as the Libertarian Party, okay? They're all corrupt. That's the bottom line, and that's the truth. They're corrupt. And so, but the fact that I was the only Republican running, the GOP should have gotten behind me, but both, even the Democratic Party, should have gotten, because if there's cheating by the registrar, it affects the truth. It affects the people's vote. Bottom line, it affects all of us. This is absolutely usurping the will of the people. But instead, Mark Moiser, well, he gave me the offer about his firm. Well, first of all, the GOP law firm was supposed to represent me. Senator Nielsen, when I went into the office, because I actually was invited, I was asked to be a board CFO on the board that Senator Nielsen sat on. And so we got to know one another, and he always made it a point to tell me that we are a team. And I'm just saying it is. It was always like one time when he was leaving, you know, and he went out the door and he put his head back in and he said, "Austin, remember, we are a team." And it was like, okay. And so the registrar commits treason. That's the truth. Judge Stephen Bailey, who's running for Congress now, he knows I'm telling you the truth because he saw my case. Mark Moiser, who's running for Congress again, also he ran for Secretary of State, Secretary of State. He knows treason was committed. But the GOP, I went in to speak to Senator Nielsen at the Capitol to say, you know what? Here's what the registrar did. They just cheated. I have enough signatures, and this is crazy what they're doing. You know, this is wild This is wild, because who knows what they have in mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, what these guys have up their sleeves, but I'm telling you, it is very, very dirty. It is very wicked and evil. Who knows what these guys are going to try to do, but it will backfire. I'm telling you, it's going to backfire, because God knows the truth. God knows that these people are assaulting our children. We live in a very, very wicked system. God knows. And despite what these people want to say, and despite these people who believe that they're protected, God is the one who defends, and God is the one who justifies. That's the truth. Mark my words, it's going to backfire on them. And even when the registrar cheated me, it exposed the corruption, and it exposed other people. So anyway, like Senator Nielsen, so I went over, and when I went into the office, Senator Nielsen heard my voice, because the woman in front was saying that he was busy, and he comes out, and I told Senator Nielsen what happened, and he was like, well, we're gonna, the GOP, our law firm will represent you, and so the law firm looked at my situation, and they knew that the registrar cheated, and they knew that I would get put back on the ballot, and so, and then all of a sudden, you know, I come back on another day, and this man who's named David Reed, who ran LaMalfa's campaign, he runs people's campaigns. He comes out and he says, "We're not going to represent you." And then I was told, the law firm, if you want the GOP law firm to represent you, Austin, you're going to have to pony up $25,000. And I had depleted. Our situation was already depleted at that point. It was like, even for the $7,500 that I had to scrape up for the attorney that was referred to me by the GOP, I mean, that was tough. I had to scrape that up, and I had just submitted our statement, you know, and with all the expenses that we were going through, it was $6,000 to submit the statement to get on the ballot. But anyway, so they tell me $25,000. I was like, I can't afford that. And then the GOP referred a Chad Morgan, a lawyer in Los Angeles. So I hire him, and Chad Morgan sabotages my hearing. He didn't serve the registrar, and in writing, he told me, we don't have to serve the registrar, or we don't have to serve the registrar personally. We can email service. I mean, I've sued a company that was in breach of contract with me from Florida. And so I went through the procedure of having the venue changed back to California. So it took a number of steps, but I understand the very rudimentary, you know, contract law, you know, 101, where if you're going to sue someone, you've got to serve them personally. Just like if you're going to recall someone, you go and you serve them personally. And so, he tells me that for campaigns, for politics, because there's a short window, you don't have to serve them personally. The thing is he did it on purpose. He knew that he had to serve. So that's the thing that's crazy, by the way, on a side note. Even when I filed a complaint with the bar, they protected him. They said, oh, he made a mistake, but it wasn't deliberate. Yet in writing, it was very clear he lied. He lied and deliberately sabotaged my hearing, and he was referred to me by the GOP. So anyway, of course, when I go to my first hearing, I had the lawyer, or the judge says, this is when I was running for the state senate, the judge says, you didn't serve the contention of the registrars. We weren't personally served. And and by the way, the lawyer bailed on me, which again, he violated even the bar code. So he should have been held accountable, but of course he was protected because he's part of the system, Chad Morgan. And he's the one who served Gavin Newsom. The Republican Party brought him in to do that. So they're all part of a little network, just like controlled opposition, those who lead all the movements. And so the judge looks at the registrar. And by the way, the president of Eagle Forum was there. And this is going to grow, what they just did today. But by the way, but the president of Eagle Forum was in the hearing, and I look over. So the judge looks at the registrar, Jill Levine, and he says, "Are you okay if I listen to Mr. Bennett's writ of mandate?" Now, as a registrar, Jill Levine is supposed to show no discretion. The registrar falls under an act. It's called the Ministerial Act, which means that she cannot show discretion. She has to be impartial. She cannot be Republican, Democrat, and she's supposed to be impartial and by the act show no discretion. And when the judge says that, she should have said, that's up to you. That's not up to me. She says, no, I don't want you to hear it. I don't want you to hear the writ of mandate. Now, I looked back at her and I said, why in the world would you not want the judge to hear this writ of mandate? Because if I'm supposed to be on the ballot, why would you prevent it? And if I'm not supposed to be on the ballot, what do you have to worry? It was very, very clear that she knew she cheated, and they did not want me on the ballot. Do you understand that? They didn't want me on the ballot, just like they don't want me to represent myself, because I have a right. And they know, frankly, I'm not boasting there, but they know I'm sharp. I learn, I go through processes, and I learn processes quickly. And also, I have very competent people in the background. And so, and based on what I've been saying, they know that I know the rights that I have. And so anyway, she says no. And then what happens when I get cheated? I had so many people attacking me. Joshua Coleman, who is controlled opposition and who was leading the anti-vax movement, he comes out and he's telling all of you Austin didn't do his paperwork correctly and he didn't have enough signatures, which I did. They were certified. The original signatures were certified, okay? And so it's like there's no wiggle room there. I should have been on the ballot. And the fact he was there and the registrar violated the Ministerial Act, and she's retired on like $200,000, $250,000 a year. I don't know what it is. It's pretty significant. She retired that year. But instead of telling you guys the treachery that took place, they're coming after me. They're attacking me, and so I had a huge fallout. I had people send some really, really nasty messages to me, and saying that I was controlled op and you did that on purpose, and I absolutely didn't do it on purpose, and I should have been on the ballot. It's not like anybody who looks at the evidence knows that it wasn't my fault, that I had been cheated, just like they're trying to cheat me now. And so anyway, so when I was cheated there, I immediately talked to Paul Moiser, who's this attorney who's running for Congress, and then he tells me, well, if you want us to represent you, it's going to cost you about $15,000 or $25,000. And here's what I want you to consider. Paul Moiser, being an attorney who represents candidates and is a constitutional attorney, he chooses, knowing my situation, knowing that I had been cheated, to look the other way and to go to Death Valley and ride his fancy, expensive six-figure or five-figure bicycle, and send pictures of himself in his little tights and with little perspiration and saying, hey, look at me, I'm riding my bicycle and I want to represent you as Secretary of State. Look at me, I'm riding my bicycle and I'm riding it all over the place while the registrar is getting away with treason. And he's running in the state of California where she comes against the only Republican running, but it didn't matter. It wasn't about that I was is this that I represent the Constitution, but the same registrar who would be cheating him also if he legitimately was looking in the interests of the people. But that just wasn't the case. And then the kickaroo about Mark Moiser is his partner, Harmeet. I think it's Harmeet Dillon. She was a GOP representative. She was a chairperson. There's two chair people who represents the whole GOP in the state of California. She was one of those persons. And I'm thinking, this is mind-blowing. So the only Republican running in District 6 is cheated, and you're telling me that your firm will charge me $15,000 or $25,000 And I later discovered that Harmeet is part of the Republican Party. Do you see how these people are playing us for fools? Look at where we are today. And so, and now he's running for Congress. Isn't that extraordinary? And so, all of them, Travis Allen, liar, who was running for governor, they're all, it's just, when you start to look closely, you realize that they're a bunch of, it's like even Judge Stephen Bailey, he's running for Congress, he was running for Attorney General. He saw how I was cheated, but he looked the other way. They'll say nice things, they'll pretend, but in the end of the day, they look the other way. Just like when I reached out to Senator Morrell, was he there to confront the treachery that was going on? No. Did any of them? Senator Gaines, conveyed that to him. Did he show up there? No. Senator Nielsen, did he show up there? No. The list goes on. The list goes on. Senator, it was, and I was on a cell phone, first name basis, with senator, and just sent, and letting him know, and oh, hey, Austin, and what's going on, and nobody showed up. Nobody showed up because they follow the rules. They follow the rules, and so, but what happened is it exposed them. It exposed them. Just like as I speak about Mark Moiser now, who's running for Congress. Shame on him. Instead of riding his bicycle, why didn't he spend the time confronting the treachery that was going on in Sacramento County? How would have our children, how would the people been better served had Mark Moiser get off his little, his fancy bicycle and get out of his tights and get in there and confront the treachery? But that's not what he did. Not only didn't do that, he wanted to charge me $15,000 or $25,000 because he knew that I couldn't afford it. We were drained. I left my practice for about four years, in running for this. And so we were drained because we funded most of my campaign. And so anyway, so now here we are. We have, this is extraordinary. This is amazing because Anne-Marie Schubert, I'm sorry that her son was injured. That I sincerely am. I don't want any child to be ever harmed. But the fact that Anne-Marie Schubert's son is injured when he goes into Kaiser by the HPV vaccine, he's permanently injured, and she goes after pharma for that bucket of money. She hires 2 attorneys. You can look it up. Look it up. It's in the Sacramento Bee. And here is the kickaroo. Senator Richard Pan downplayed the injury to her son. Can you imagine that? You have a son who's permanently injured and you're suing Kaiser and why is she suing Kaiser? Why is she suing pharma? Because she didn't have full disclosure of what was in the HPV vaccine. Obviously, something in the HPV vaccine made her very upset because it injured her son, and her son is permanently injured. And she wanted to be able to have that full disclosure so she can make the decision as a free citizen to say, no, I'm not going to allow my son to get that vaccine. And she sues Kaiser and pharma for not having full disclosure, and then she looks the other way while our children continue to be assaulted. And then when I confront Senator Richard Pan and push him after he lies about mercury being in vaccines, she comes after me. That makes no sense. Why are you covering for a doctor whose lies are harming our children? And so now this hearing was because because they tried to talk me out of representing myself. They acted like they were looking out for me, and I told them, I know you guys have political pressure there. You are protecting the senator. But this hearing was pushed back because then I have a man who I thought was on my side. And call me, I should have known better. Florin, I should have known better, really. He leads the Slavic community, and all the way up to this point, he gets me in front of the Slavic, and the Slavic community, by the way, are incredible people. they believe in the Constitution, and they understand the danger of communism. So I love the Slavic community, you know, the Russians, the Romanians, the Ukrainians, and they're wonderful. But you know, Florin, I thought he was on my side. He would get me in front of the Slavic community, and when I was running the recall, you know, and my message was translated into Russian, and I was given a seat of honor, I wish that I was wrong. But what I found bizarre when I ran the recall against Senator Richard Pan is immediately the Republican Party starts 2 recalls against Gavin Newsom, and the Slavic community was no longer focusing on the Pan recall. And if Florin leads the Slavic community, and maybe I was wrong, but why was the Slavic community ignoring the Pan recall? I'm very grateful to Yelena, who made sure that she went out and got 6,000 petitions printed for us for the recall. But then I got message back, they're not focused on the Pan recall anymore. They're focused on the Gavin Newsom recall. Please think about that. The Republican Party, why didn't they, if it was legitimate that they wanted to remove Gavin Newsom, why didn't they even say anything about the Pan recall? Why didn't Joshua Coleman tell you about the Pan recall? Why didn't Del Bigtree tell you about the Pan recall? Why didn't Dr. Bob Sears, when he spoke in Sacramento, and I was supposed to talk about the Pan recall, he specifically said, I do not want Austin to talk about the recall. That makes no sense, does it? Because that's like being in a situation where you have the only remedy to deal with Pan that's lawful is to run a recall. So it doesn't matter everything that you say in exposing the injustices. If at the end of the day you don't do anything about it, then all you're doing is just talking. And so the recall was what we had as a vehicle, a ballot measure, a remedy for the people. And he said, I don't want him talking about it. And I told you guys that he was controlled op from the very beginning. And people were saying, parents were saying, he got me Dr. Bob Sears got me an exemption for my child, Austin, quit. And it was like, and I told him this, let's just see how long it lasts. Let's see how long it lasts. He knows they're going to go away. So they're propping up their hero to make sure that everybody's following him. And so you got all these people, yeah, thank you for all the stuff that you're exposing. Thank you for all the stuff that you're exposing. But at the end of the day, that's all they're doing because they know that there's a group, there's a percentage of people who know the truth. So you got to control them. But when it comes to remedy, they always sabotage it. That's why Del Bigtree, when I pushed Senator Richard Pan, when I was running the recall, can you imagine the opportunity that Del Bigtree had, that Vaxxed had, that Robert Kennedy Jr. had? All these people, they had an opportunity because Senator Richard Pan lied and he said that there's no mercury in vaccines. But instead, controlled opposition, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. Del Bigtree threw himself under the bus. Publicly, he comes after me, he demonizes me, and then he looks at the camera and he apologizes to Senator Richard Pan. And then Del Bigtree says this, I know, and remember, the doctor, the pediatrician, the representative, Senator Richard Pan lied, and he said there's no mercury in vaccines. And Del Bigtree has the gall to look in the camera and say, Senator Richard Pan, I apologize. We do not support what happened to you. And I know, this is Del Bigtree saying it to Senator Pan, I know that what you are doing, you believe is in the best interest of our children. How can he say such a lie, except the fact is that's his job, is to protect. In the end of the day, they can flap their jaws all they want. They can lead you to the Capitol and wave the signs. They don't care. They don't care. The people at the Capitol, the representatives don't care. All of that does nothing in the end of the day. It does nothing. If there's anything that it can do, it's to bring information out, which is good, but that information is supposed to come out so that we have a movement and then we take action. And what is the action? Is to implement the vehicle that is available to us, and the vehicle that was available to us of the Pan recall. I was running a recall. And now Senator Richard Pan is caught lying. He gets pushed. It's in the Wall Street Journal, in the LA Times. Although they caught the part of the video where Richard Pan lies, because that's what they want to do. At this hearing, they do not want to allow the jury to see the part where Richard Pan lies and says there's no mercury in vaccines. Can you believe this? They are the corruption at the DA's office, the corruption. So now they're saying, Austin, we want you to see a doctor. We want you to see a doctor before we're going to allow you to represent yourself. We want to make sure you're competent. So the system that is cheating the people, that is poisoning the people, wants a doctor to evaluate my competence to see if I can represent myself. And it is not about evaluating my competence. It is about thwarting. It is about thwarting justice. It is about thwarting, covering the truth, and protecting Anne Marie Schubert, who's running for Attorney General. She's a shyster. You know, it's amazing in the irony, because I remember when her son was injured, I thought, now we're going to have a champion for truth. But how far from the truth that was. But by the way, going back to Florin, this is the Slavic leader in Florin. I'm so sorry. I really, even as I say this, you know, I felt like he was legitimately a friend. You know, he represents a liaison. He's a diplomat for the country of Belarus. And when I've talked with him, there's an ambassador. I thought, and so we met for lunch, and he's like, you cannot represent yourself. You cannot represent yourself, Austin. You have to have a professional go with you. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, you know, man, maybe this is a blessing. And he said, you know, I've got a trial attorney and 46 years of experience. I want you to meet with him. And then he tells me, he says he didn't know I'd push Senator Pan. I find that difficult to believe. You know, it's like, you know, he works closely with the state Senate. I don't know. I find that very hard to believe. But he says, you know, he's like, oh, you pushed Senator Pan, so are you being charged? And I say, yeah, District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert is coming after me. And he says, well, I'm meeting with her. And because she meets with him because for the Slavic vote. And then he says, I want you to meet with the, it's just amazing. Supposedly he spoke to Jill Levine on my behalf, supposedly, and it's like, you know, this whole time, are you handling me? Is that what's happening? You just kind of jerking me around? Is that what's going on? And so anyway, so we go to the meeting. And you know, it's a nice downtown office, and you know, this lawyer comes out, James Hazen, and the very first thing he says to me before he sits down, the lawyer says, I'm fully vaccinated, and my wife is fully vaccinated. She got her booster. And so that's the very first thing he says. Actually, the first thing he did is offered me something to drink. And then he goes and he gets me a cup of coffee, comes down, and then he says that he's fully vaccinated and his wife is fully vaccinated. That's what he says. Then while we're sitting down, he tells me that we cannot put Senator Richard Pan on the stand, which is not the truth, okay? It's just not the truth. And so, you know, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, okay, this is not necessarily 46 years of experience. And then I told him, you know, there's leverage there, okay? He lied about mercury being in vaccines. And I was defending others. And I've been defending others for a long time. And no one can deny that. My whole effort in running for the state Senate has been defending others. And then James, or you know, Hazen says, the jury's not going to believe there's mercury in vaccines, so we're not going to bring that up. It's like, are you stupid, or do you think that I'm that naive? Because the CDC reports there's mercury in vaccines, and there's 25 times. Do you know this, that the level of vaccines, it was recognized as being damaging to children, that they reduced it to to 1 milligram of thimerosal mercury for children, and they're back to 25 for children also, which means they're getting 25 times higher than what the CDC agreed was dangerous. But the fact that what's going into our bloodstreams is significantly higher than they even tell women to stay away from, and they're ingesting it when they're pregnant. At least they have organs that are filtering this stuff, and they're putting it into our veins. And so he tries to convince me that he can't convince the jury that there's mercury in vaccines, and yet it also says it in the insert that there's mercury in vaccines. And as I said, that's like trying to convince me that he can't convince the jury that there's caffeine in Coca-Cola. It's like either you're a completely incompetent attorney, or you are a liar, a blazing liar and sellout. And this lawyer that Florin referred to me was a lemon, all right? And so, anyway, so that's the situation. But as I said, this wasn't about me winning, but it's about getting the truth out. And you talk about adding to the drama that now the judge, the system is concerned about me. Hey, Austin, this is a misdemeanor. It's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Send me to jail for 6 months? But no, these guys are trying to entrap me. All right, they're not just trying to entrap me. They're protecting, obviously, the Attorney General and Pan. But who knows what's up these guys' sleeve? But as I said, I am willing to lay down my life for our children, for the people, for this state. I've said that before. And so, regardless what the outcome is, truth is going to come out. Darkness is going to come out in the light. And that is something I said over and over again. I will bring darkness out into the light. And so, and you know what? Maybe I should run for the state Senate again. Maybe I should as an independent, because they certainly are giving me a platform. They're certainly giving me a platform. But I'm asking you guys now, crossexaminepan.org. That's going to be up, because these guys are going to try to shut me down, but I need you guys to follow, okay? crossexaminepan.org. Anyway, trust that you guys are having a great day. Keep me in prayer, but I know this, okay? The Lord God is my shield, and these people can deny it as much as they want, but I know this. We cannot lie to God. And I tell you the truth, I have defended others. My intention has never been for self-gain. My intention has always been to protect our children's future, to protect their safety, and to defend the Constitution, our freedom. And so God knows the truth. And who more is going to defend our children than God? And so I know he's going to defend me. But the way I see this has been in our favor. What they just said today and what they pulled today is in our favor, because it's going to further embarrass them. It's going to further expose them. Anyway, I'll see you later. God bless you.